Hello, friends. I just want to let you know that there are going to be 2 episodes out this week, one today and then another one on Wednesday. So double the uploads this week. We're trying to get back on our Monday swing. Be exciting. Get ready for it. Party time. This episode's super serious, but the next one is the polar opposite, talking about tiny homes, moving out of Seattle, all kinds of things. And yeah, this is the first pre-episode announcement. Now enjoy the second. Hi guys, just wanted to put a quick preface on this episode because we are talking about body image. We're kind of like referring to it from our own personal experiences, but of course that's a very personal topic and something that I've only experienced life through my own life, and everybody lives a unique life. And, we're both 2 white, skinny humans.
We just wanted to clarify that we understand where our perspectives are coming from, and the fact that we can only speak to our experiences while knowing that there is such a broad range of experiences that are going on in relation to body image and confidence. And also just some trigger words were probably mentioned throughout this episode.
I tried to use them very lightly. But my experience, obviously, there is some disordered eating speak in this episode later on in the episode. And we can only really speak from our own experiences. And it's not even that there's a broad perspective. It's that everyone's experience is unique and everyone's way of relating to life. And our bodies are our connection to this realm, I guess. And we only really can speak for our own, and everyone's is completely unique. I hope that this is helpful to anyone and everyone, because even though we share different experiences with our bodies, we kind of are relating to the same problems.
At the end of the day, we just want everyone to love themselves.
And the dogs are fighting.
Roger, say hi. Roger, look.
Roger, look. Look here. He doesn't want to look.
Over there.
Hey Tay, what's up?
Oh, hey Christy. How's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Pretty good.
I don't know why, but for a minute, I feel like saying yourself just feels like something that somebody older than me might say.
Yeah.
So just...
No, I could see that. I could totally see that.
Also just formal.
Remember when we lived in Australia and literally everyone just said, how's it going?
How you going?
How you going?
I mean, great phrase, if I'm honest.
Used endlessly.
Anybody listening from Australia, you guys have the best phrases. And you know it.
Love your language.
Love your language. I mean, it's
Australian
true.
English.
It's great.
Truly.
I love Aussie slang so much.
And Aussies. All together.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome to the show. Welcome to Intentional. I'm Christie.
To Intentional. I'm Tay.
And this is a show where we chat about living a more intentional life.
Yeah.
Be it in wellness, which we're going to talk about today, or sustainability, self-care, entrepreneurship on occasion, fast fashion.
Yeah.
Thrifting. Secondhand everything. Upcycling. I'm just listing things.
Sustainability.
At this point.
Altogether.
Yeah. Living more intentional altogether. Today I thought we would talk about self-confidence and body image and all of that, because it's definitely something that I've struggled with, and just something reflecting back, I mean, life is different now that we have social media, I'm sure, but just growing up, I wish I had more conversations like this in my life.
Yeah, to just listen to and consume and know that you're not alone in the thoughts that we're all probably having.
Totally.
In one way, shape, or form.
Totally. And also a realization that our bodies are such a positive thing, and thinking about our bodies is such a positive thing, and being with our bodies is such an incredible and magical thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, our bodies are insane.
So
what they do
insane
every single day.
First off, that is step number 1, is just even
endlessly regenerating cells.
Totally. And I think one of the really big things that helped me in the beginning of my journey too is one of the struggles I had kind of with my body image was acne, and cystic acne and hormonal changes and stuff. And every time I got a pimple, like some of them now, they just amaze me. I'm not even kidding.
I feel like I recently saw you talk about that on your Insta stories.
I did. Like I had a really big one on my nose, and now, like, granted, I don't get cystic acne the way I used to. Mm-hmm. So I will preface it with that. For people who haven't been following for that long, they probably haven't seen or witnessed that. So it's like, what are you to say if like you don't get acne? But I used to have like cystic acne when my hormones were kind of like all over the place in recovery, and like not only my hormones but just like my lifestyle as well. And yeah, I feel like I started to realize more and more that every pimple and every imperfection is my body doing something for me without me even having to ask it. Like the amount of things that our bodies do for us every day, like that is your body's way of defending itself and keeping itself healthy and, you know, flushing out what it needs to flush out, I guess. And yeah, like crazy. You didn't even have to ask to do it. You didn't even have to think about it.
Yeah, like ingrown hairs.
Totally.
It's like your body just ejects that shit.
Exactly.
It's like, nope.
It's your body's way of looking after you.
What a way to start the show.
Okay, so we will get into body confidence in a little bit, but why don't we jump into our highlights of the week before we do that?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, yeah. Best part of the week.
Yeah.
Would you like to start or shall I start?
You can start. I feel like I just talked for a little bit, so.
Okay. So my highlight of the week comes in the form of a handmade gift that I received from one of my brother's fiancés. I have no idea if anyone from my family listens to this besides my sister, but Megan, if you're listening, thank you so much. I already told you this. I absolutely love it. But she handmade me, it's a mask bead, like necklace holder carrier thing.
I saw it on your mask earlier.
On my mask. So for those that are watching, I'll give you a little show.
I was wondering, I was going to ask you all about it.
It's so incredible, so helpful. You just put it around your neck.
Nice.
And then when you're wearing it, cute ass beads just dangle from your face.
Yeah.
Harrison just before thought I was wearing some cool earrings.
Oh.
Then
Harrison's he said, our roommate, if you're wondering.
He said, either way, fetch. And I was like, yes.
Nice.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's just like the little things just like really perk up your week, you know? And I feel like she's probably doing this partially as just like a creative outlet during quarantine to keep her busy. And yeah, I mean, she literally just posted that she like made these on her Insta story, and I messaged her and I was like, girl, so cute. Like, love that idea. And she literally just sent them to me. Like, she had my address and she sent me a couple. Yeah.
That's
and these
nice.
Cute little bracelets too.
Super cute.
Yeah. I love handmade things.
Me too.
They just make the heart so warm.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's my highlight.
I was looking because you came by the other day with it on, and I was like, I really like that. I was gonna make a comment,
it's so
but then
helpful.
we just got carried away.
Especially like if like when we're walking around outside and like if no one is around me and I'm just by myself, like I'll take the mask off and I'll let it hang, and then the second I see someone, mask just goes right back on.
I've been doing the thing too where like I'll put my mask around my ears and then just put it under my chin until like I need to have it on. So even sometimes I'm just walking around the house before I even step outside, because in Washington we are technically supposed to wear them even when we're just like walking outside at all times. And so I usually just have it under my chin and then like, you know, put it on my face if I need to. But like if I'm driving, it goes under my chin. It's just like not a great look.
It choked. Like I've tried to do that before, and one, it chokes me, and B, it kind of like, not to like dig on what you're doing, but it kind of skews me out with like still the COVID aspect of it, because the whole point is that the COVID sticks to the outside of the masky mask and doesn't enter. And then if you're putting it under your chin, that means the fabric that's on the outside is like scrunched up and is like on your chin right next to your mouth.
So like you're breathing out onto the outside of the mask in theory then.
Yeah, and the outside of the mask could like touch you, you know, enter you in different ways. Yeah.
And so, I also wonder like for this longevity and like sustainability of keeping the masks that I already have, like I'm probably stretching out the ears. Yeah. That's what I think about every time. I'm like, this is one of my favorite masks. I don't want to stretch out the ears.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, mask holders. I mean, super simple. It's literally just like clasps at the end of a string of beads is how she created it.
It's like a croaky, but for your mask instead of for your sunglasses.
Oh, I was like, what the heck?
It's a croaky.
It's a croaky.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. Like they're the things that you put. The only reason I know that is because I was in a sorority in college. And
learn something
like
new
the
every day.
fratty
Wait,
thing.
I was about to say, what does just sunglass holders have to do with sororities?
It was just like the fratty thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Also, my parents used to wear them a lot in like the 80s.
Yeah,
for skiing.
I
They're super
love
useful.
sunglass holders.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're incredible for
Yeah.
for sports, mountain climbing, water activities. Incredible. They
are
really
great.
make sure your expensive sunglasses don't get lost.
Totally.
Never heard of a croquis.
Croaky.
I've never.
At least that's what I was told what they're called.
I'm sure. I don't know.
Maybe
it's
the
Canadian.
slang. I don't know.
I'll look
Anyways.
into it. Anyways.
My highlight of the week is, so I've actually had a pretty rough week. And so like I was trying to think this morning before you came over of like, what is my highlight of the week? Because I don't have many things. It was just like a rough week altogether.
I mean, I feel that.
Yeah, in several ways. I think it was a rough week for both of us. And I feel like my default is always, you know, when I'm trying to write, like there's always something to be grateful for, right? So if I'm always doing like my gratitude journaling, usually my default is like, well, there was a couple sunny days this week. Like that's usually my default. And I was going to say that. And then I feel like I don't want to default to my default anymore. Like I want to put the effort in to like do something for myself to be grateful for, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's just definitely been one of those weeks that like when I'm feeling down, I don't necessarily have the motivation to do something nice for myself. So this morning I spent 5 minutes doing like a fitness or like just moving my body. It wasn't even like anything difficult, but like moving my body in a way that I wouldn't normally to just kind of like have fun and experiment. And like I felt like doing it.
Fun.
And I never do that.
Can I ask what you did?
Well, I just normally, so especially since COVID started, so our gym opened up.
Right. Yeah.
And so we've been going. And honestly, I feel bad like hogging the machines, even though I do still kind of hog the machines a little bit. But like
Definitely you are a person who pays for that gym. There's no world where you're hogging it unless you're like spending excessive amounts of time on it.
The Stairmaster is my favorite thing ever. And that's like something that I've found on my body confidence journey of like, I'm not going to force myself to do like any fitnessy things. Like I used to lift weights and whatnot because that's what Instagram told me to do, I guess. But I just don't enjoy that. And I love just being on the Stairmaster and like listening to a podcast and like, I love that. Mm-hmm. And I do it for kind of a long time.
Okay.
But there's only one Stairmaster open at our gym right now because the other one's closed because they don't want people on next to each other. So there were only 4 people there this morning outside of me. And like, I looked around and I made sure that nobody else wanted
to survey the room. Like, excuse me, ma'am, are you looking to climb some stairs today?
I was just like, I don't want to be rude, and I could tell. Like I stopped and I kind of looked
very
around
kind of you, for sure,
to see if people were like waiting for me to get off, you know. And then I spent an extra 5 minutes on there just as like I kind of feel like doing this, so like I'm gonna do it.
Lovely.
Yeah. And that felt really nice. And then I showered and I shaved the bottom part of my legs because I didn't really have time to shave my whole legs, but I shaved the bottom part. And I don't
fancy.
Like I'm not somebody with body hair that like really. Like, I don't feel like I need to remove it all the time. Like, I kind of like go through waves of like, I grow it out and whatever. I don't feel like I need to do that to be beautiful. So we're going to talk about body hair today.
Yeah.
But I like, again, haven't really been doing that. So like I did that as like a little pamper myself thing.
Oh, I
Just
love that.
Shaved the bottom of my legs. Didn't quite make it all the way up, but that's okay. And then I put moisturizer on, which again is something that I never do.
Lovely.
And it felt really nice.
Yeah.
So that is my highlight of the week. I just did a 5-minute thing and then I shaved the bottom of my legs. Simple, but I feel like in a week where I wasn't having a great week,
so real,
it felt nice.
There was one day I got so crazy that I cut my nails, cut my toenails,
Wow,
shaved my legs,
wow,
tweezed my eyebrows,
wow,
and I think I might have slapped a mask on my face.
Wow.
And I was like, I felt like a completely new woman, truly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things, like, again, like with body confidence and whatnot, like I used to feel like I had to do those things like all the time.
No, yeah.
No, you don't. But also, it doesn't mean that you don't have to do them at all.
Yeah. It's
You know?
really just listening to your body
What
and
you're
whatever
desiring
is
to
feeling
do.
good.
Yeah, totally. Like,
there's just this pressure of like, because of course if I was like, you know, doing nice skincare every single day, or like a nice mask, let's say, like of course I'm going to do like my regular, like I typically put moisturizer on my face every day because I got dry skin.
Absolutely.
You need to. But like taking the time to do like a mask and like sit there and like have a little self-care moment. Of course, if I did that every day, like my skin would probably be glowing.
Would it? I also feel like it might.
Yeah,
that
like,
it also
that's the
might
other
not
thing.
be
Yeah,
actually that good.
for sure.
My sister texted me and said that I shouldn't be rubbing coffee grounds all over my body every day, and I was like, I don't think I said that, but
right. Definitely not
definitely
every day.
good advice, because you do not over exfoliate that skin of yours.
Totally. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, of course, if I like I used to feel like I needed to shave my legs every day, for example. And of course, like if I did that, I'd be like hairless and whatever, but like I don't need
also
to
have skin irritation out.
Yeah.
The
No,
wazoo.
I just do external body mini self-care. Well, I also don't like the idea of self-care being like a marketed concept of like needing to buy a product to like do skincare. Like self-care comes in so many different forms, but I feel like
that's
that
just
term,
like one simple way that
Totally.
like to achieve it. But
Totally.
self-care looks like so many different things.
I see self-care more as like a mental health thing rather than like
absolutely.
a physical what am I doing thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Or like a self-care to me is more than just like a bubble bath.
Yeah.
It's a whole, like that bubble bath might bring you like mental health benefits, and that's the importance of it. It's not like I just feel like the beauty industry has like co-opted that term to like sell products. They're like, have a self-care night, buy our
They've marketed
face
it,
mask.
but
They've
it's like,
totally marketed it.
you can't market mental health.
But also like, what if my form of self-care isn't putting a mask on? Like for some people it might not be.
And for me,
sometimes
not.
it is, sometimes it's not, you know?
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, to be fair, I probably haven't put a mask on in like a couple months, truly.
Right.
Like
No,
I
for
just
sure.
do my regular maintenance and however I'm feeling. But
Anyways. So do you want to start with maybe like going over your body image like journey?
Sure.
Is that how we want to get into this?
Yeah. Journey.
Yeah.
Life.
I mean, it is a journey.
No, I know.
Like,
The word journey is always so funny to me, because we're just like, we're taking this path. But yeah, it has, I don't know if I would say like that it's been an extensive journey, because I feel like, hold on, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say right now.
I will say, I of course, especially with self-care, it's like and body image and whatnot, like you can be struggling with something internally and other people have no idea. But I've always definitely seen you as a very balanced human to begin with.
I think so. Well,
Like,
first
is
of all,
that
that is
accurate, or
that
is
is
that
a
not
very
accurate?
kind thing to say. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for saying that. I do think that is a fair assessment, especially when it comes to the body specifically, like body image and confidence. That being said, I definitely within like the past like, year and a half and whatnot, with like my health and like my health being directly related to my thyroid, that definitely like has impacted just like, I don't know, literally like the way that I think and like my thought processes on a day-to-day basis. So I'm feeling a bit less balanced than I have been in the past. But that being said, like that, like in regards to like my whole journey, I guess it really just like starts with your upbringing, as literally everything in this world does. I always like to say that what we're doing right now is pretty much unlearning everything that we were forced down our throats when we were children, and we had no concept of understanding that there's a wider scope of ideology besides like the things that you were just told. And I'm not even just saying like from like a family aspect, but even just like the media and like, like the culture and society that like I grew up in, and many others grow up in and whatnot, and just the culture of America altogether, United States of America, like there's so many different aspects to it. So that being said, like I grew up, like when I was younger, I was like very naturally just like lanky and like skinny, so like you know, the things that were told to me growing up were like, oh, you're so skinny. And like my entire life was playing soccer. So like I was literally just like the athletic, lanky, skinny girl. And it's like, that's not usually like any sort of negative association to that, you know? So I think like growing up, I always had this somewhat positive understanding of who I was in relation to my body and to my image. So much so to the fact that I feel like it wasn't even really much of a thing that I like therefore was thinking about that much, you know. I also like am the younger sibling, and my older sister is about like 5 years older than me, so like that's very significant. So like when I was 5, she was 10. Like those are like very different parts of your life, like, you know, preteen years and being 5 years old. What is that, kindergarten, first grade? Like, you know, so I definitely had someone like showing me and telling me the ways that, you know, like females like grow up, and like, you know, what the images that are usually portrayed and whatnot.
She was like looking out for you.
Yeah, definitely looking out for me. But also like there is an element that I like look back and like I'm like LOL. Like she like she like forced me to tweeze my eyebrows in like the 4th grade. She was like, no, I'm plucking your unibrow. She's like, okay.
You're like, what even is that?
I was literally called caterpillar brows for a period of time. Like it's real. Even these days, if I like really just do zero maintenance for like 1 month, I get some like it's.
But then it's like, what's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, and especially in like the 4th grade, like what's wrong with that? But also she was 5 years older than me, and like in her own world of like, you know, the tween years where she's like, no one wants a unibrow, so get rid of your unibrow. And like,
it's also crazy how much like definitely like when we were growing up, and I can't imagine what it was like in like the generations before us, but like the early 2000s, like the whole like Paris Hilton phase, like that's when we were growing up and when we were learning what beauty standards were.
Oh my gosh,
and they definitely were less accepted.
The early 2000s
than they are now.
The look is like to be rail thin.
Same thing with the 90s. Wear
low cut pants so that like your hip bones were literally visible, collarbones visible, like
you had to be white and blonde, straight hair. And I think that's actually something that's still, I think, because like, so growing up, like my sister was blonde and like she fit all of the stereotypes of that, and I think that like image affected me in a way that like I felt like she was the beautiful sister and I wasn't. Oh. And like that's like, that's not a great feeling growing up.
No.
Anyway, sorry, continue. I'll get into my story later.
And then just like going from that, so like I had like this basis of understanding of like, you know, like what body image for I feel like I don't know how I'm trying to say, like it's like the look that is like supposed to be achieved, I guess, like, you know, like growing,
the like desired beauty,
you know,
standards.
The desired standards of like like shave your legs, don't have a unibrow, like XYZ. But then simultaneously I feel like I chatted about this last episode a bit, but like I was a super tomboy, and like there's really no way to explain like why I had like these like strong drives to like dress the way that I literally wanted like my entire life. And so I like already like disassociated with what like society wanted to put on me, because I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to wear dresses because I don't like dresses. Like that's not going to happen. And I'm going to put these boy shorts on and play flag football at recess and do whatever I want.
Because you did, like, you shopped in the boys section too, right?
I shopped in the boys section. Like I played sports all the time. Some like football,
early
basketball,
on too. Did you have male best friends?
Yeah. I mean, I've always had like my 2 girl best friends that I'm like still best friends with now. But like growing up, like early. I had like a
that
friend
story
group.
Gets me every time.
I don't even know what our label of our name of our group. Yeah, there was it was me and 3 boys, and we were like the best of friends, and like we would like play at recess together, and like we would always sit together in like classes and stuff. And I mean, it's really not that funny. It's just the first initial of all of our names, and we were BJTD.
the name of your group.
Yeah.
Well, what was this, like kindergarten?
A little bit older. Yeah, like,
okay.
yeah, like I'd probably
I
like
just
hit
like see the
third
four of
grade.
you guys like walking
Yeah,
together,
third,
like
fourth grade.
super like badass
Swag with like
BJTD.
they had like frosted tips.
Nice.
Two of their moms were hairdressers.
Oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
times. I wouldn't mind frosted tips coming back only because
absolutely.
it's like, why not?
Harley currently wants to frost his tips.
Can he do it, please?
I mean, currently
Incredible.
unavailable, but yeah, I mean, I was trying to figure out if like I would be able to do it for him or if we would have to like get it professionally done. And that's about as far as we got in
Right.
that process.
Right.
But yeah, like literally the words frosted tips came out of his mouth and I said, we're doing it.
I'd like to bring them back. Just
Yeah.
for the reason of like bringing it back.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
It's a look.
Also, did you see they revived the Razr phone? Razr has a new phone,
A flip.
a flip phone.
Oh, you know what? I did see that. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah, anyways, oh gosh, so where was I even going with this? I mean, I guess just as far as body image, like I was always given praise rather than negative connotations. Even when I was given negative criticism, I kind of complied and just was like, whatever, like I don't really care. Like,
Would people give you negative criticism?
well, just like, you know, having a unibrow like is like an outside perspective of like what society deemed unacceptable at the time. And I find it pretty funny because now like these days, like I literally let my eyebrows grow as close as they can to each other, and then I pluck like just a little bit on the in between, but it's like it's whatever you want at the end of the day. Like if you don't like the unibrow look, then sure, pluck it. But like if that's what grows naturally and you don't feel like doing anything about it and like you like the look, then rock it and just like live your life kind of deal.
Yeah.
So like that was definitely something like, you know, that eventually like I learned when I was like, oh, I don't need to shave my legs all the time, even in elementary school. And
So I have a question because this is something that I've struggled with in defining, like, so the shaving your legs thing, just to begin with, because every time I go to make a YouTube video, I go like about removing your body hair, which
Right.
again, like I was talking about at the beginning of the episode,
Right.
I struggle in like getting my words out and how I feel about it, but then I also feel conflicted because I'm like, so shaving my legs is not something that I necessarily feel like I need to do all the time, so I feel like I have like a balance with it, yet the beauty standards are still that women are supposed to remove their body hair, right?
okay.
But I don't feel like I need to all the time, but I also still do. So like, where's the balance with, like, the only reason I'm sure that I think it's a thing that I want to do is because that beauty standard is like just the way it is in the back of my mind. Like I'm sure that it's affected me wanting to remove my body hair. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there's a subconscious part about it. But
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever sat down and like really just asked yourself, like, why am I removing this body hair?
I mean,
Like, what is your why?
the only reason is I just like it.
Yeah. And like I was gonna say, like,
But
if we reverse back that question, like I know why. Like I don't always, don't get me wrong, I definitely don't always shave my legs, like more times than not, like, and I'm talking like literal like months sometimes if I don't feel like it. But
we're in winter, baby. My
that
jeans
being
are on.
said, like if I'm like working out consistently and just like sometimes I just like literally do not like how it feels like when I'm like sweaty and like my legs
oh my
are
God,
touching
yeah.
each other and they're hairy, and I'm like, that's not my preference. Like I don't want to feel that. And that being said, I also hate shaving because I sometimes get like razor burn regardless of like the razor, how, whatever, XYZ. So I have very sensitive skin. It gets irritated easily. So that being said, it's like, I'm not going to shave every day because I know I do not like that. I know it irritates me. It hurts me. It causes me pain, causes ingrown hairs. Like I'm not going to do that. That doesn't align with my lifestyle. But if then I grow my hair out and it's causing me irritation in a different way, then that's when I'm like, oh, so I'm just going to shave my legs. And also like I do like thoroughly love the feeling of when like your legs are hairy and then you shave it completely and you're in the shower and
Oh my gosh,
it's literally like that stupid razor commercial, like and like the water is just like flowing off your body and you feel like a dolphin swimming through the water.
I like the feeling of like putting body moisturizer on afterwards, and then I'm just standing in my room like in my underwear and I'm like,
yes, you're
luxury.
like, I am a goddess.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that's exactly how I
so
feel.
you know, so yeah, so like
Yeah.
that's what it's gotta be. Like it can't be like,
Right.
oh my god, a boy is gonna see my legs, like I have to shave
no.
it. Like it that's
Also, if anything, I'm shaving
you
my
have
legs.
to disassociate what another person is going to think of you, because
Right.
it's at the end of the day it just doesn't matter.
I also will say, like, I shave my legs for myself.
Yeah,
It's definitely not
Exactly.
for my partner, because if it was, then I would be doing it way more often. When I
also
just
then
don't.
like what, shave your own legs if you don't like what my legs feel like.
Totally.
Like
Totally.
why do you like what your legs feel like but not what my legs feel like? That makes
Right.
no
Also, I think
sense.
too, like, I would never sit there, like, if a female identifying person wanted long hair on their legs, like, I'm not going to sit there and judge that either.
No, never,
what I
because
mean?
I'm like, oh, she feels comfortable
Right.
with that.
But again, like, so
Good
it's
for
not
her.
it's not necessarily like it's ingrained in like I have to do that. Like, I don't think anyone has to do that. But at the end of the day, like, I do still wonder, like, is it my preference because I started doing it because as a young person I thought that I had to do that to be beautiful,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Or,
Well,
like,
I
it's just
mean,
a societal
I
norm.
think that the way that you can analyze that is when you start recognizing when you're shaving your legs. So like if you realize like, you know, you're about to like go to the lake and see a bunch of people, or like right before a hiking trip where, you know, like your legs are going to be exposed and seen, are you purposely shaving your legs at a time where maybe you like probably wouldn't have?
Yeah.
And then like, so then if your answer to that is yes, then maybe like, yeah, you still are kind of thinking about what other people are going to think about
Right.
your legs, because you know, you're not really doing it on your own accord at that point.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, just like little things to like, just like be conscious.
Yeah.
Just be conscious
Right.
in all of your small
And like at the
little
end of the
actions.
day, if you do or don't want to do it, like, do it, because it's your body and
Yeah.
like nobody else has a say.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say this also like goes to literally hair on any part of your body. It could be your
Oh, for sure.
legs, your
For sure.
toes, your face, your genitals.
Mm-hmm.
Quite literally, it's all personal preference. And you know, like if you have family members or other people commenting on it, like it's hard, but you just gotta go
Also-
back to like understanding understanding why you're doing whatever you're doing. You have a reason. Whether they want to hear your reason, that, you know, it has nothing to do with you. Like if they refuse to hear your reason, then, you know, that person isn't really showing the most amount of care that they
Yeah.
could, or compassion.
I think it also comes back to like, you know, if you want to wear if you are somebody who loves polka dots and you want to include polka dotted shirts in your wardrobe, like that's your preference. Versus like for me personally, like it's not my preference, so it's not my wardrobe. It's the same thing as like if you want to include shaving your legs in your life, then it's in your life, and if you want to include not shaving your legs in your life, then it's your life. Like everything is personal preference.
It literally impacts the other person 0%. Zero.
I feel the same way about like what I'm eating or drinking. Like I personally don't really like drinking alcohol that much.
Same.
I rarely do, and honestly in the times that I do, part of it is societal pressure. Like that's still something that I deal with. It's not my preference to be drinking all the time, and for no other reason than like it's not my preference.
Totally.
And I've always felt like people think that I'm weird for that. Sometimes I do, you know, if I genuinely like want a glass of wine or
Yeah.
a beer or whatever, then I will of course have it. But it's not my preference and like the first thing that I want to do, which is funny because I feel like last year we did a podcast where we were talking about drinking, and I was like, we make it sound like we're alcoholics, but it's like neither of our preferences. Like we
No,
really don't
absolutely
that
not.
often.
I mean, I probably drink more than you do these days. But like by drink more than you do, I mean, I'll
Yeah.
have like one cider
Totally.
a night, if that, and like probably not even a night. Like with like my partner, like maybe we would do one cider a night, or if like I'm by myself, like I'll do like a cider like every couple nights, or like
Yeah.
a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna FaceTime with one of my best friends from college tonight, and we're gonna sip some wine and just
Yeah.
chat with each
See,
other.
that's
So like
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
like just little feelings, but it's like yeah, no, but neither of us are people who have like excessive drives to
No.
just like get drunk all the time.
Like if I'm drinking, it's like once a month, especially during quarantine, might be pushing it. It's like definitely like once every few months, like a glass of wine.
I get cranberry seltzer at bars if like that's still happening. Like, you know, sometimes
Yeah.
like I would see like some friends at an outdoor bar area this past couple months, and yeah, I've definitely ordered myself some cranberry seltzer and just been like, I don't care.
Yeah, no, I've been ordering
Like,
tea
that's free
at bars lately.
first of all. They just give that to you.
Yeah.
So thank you for the hydration.
Yeah.
And
I've just been ordering tea.
Yeah.
A lot of bars have tea.
Yeah.
Fun fact. Yeah.
so yeah, really, you just have to be confident in your decisions, because you have to know that the decisions you're making come from somewhere. Like you're not just
Right.
like, unless, and then
But
that's where a problem lies. If you do realize that you're like just doing something because you're being told,
Right.
you need to like have your moral standby for whatever it is: clothing, hair, diet. Like other people's
But also at
opinions
the end of the day,
do not
too,
affect it.
I feel like overthinking things is never good either. So it's just like if somebody asked you, it's like, why are you doing that? It's like, just because I want to. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to like. I feel like I've spent a lot of like the same thing with like the shaving my legs question. Like that is a question that I've actually asked myself to the point of agony. I'm like, is it really? I don't know. And then I just get stuck in my head of like, maybe it is the society making me need to do things, you know? And then I
Yeah.
overthink it. Like I feel like there is a balance of just being like, I just like doing this, but
Yeah.
also I don't care what you want to do.
Yeah.
You do your thing, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I interrupted your story hardcore.
Oh my goodness,
there.
yeah, my whole journey. I mean, yeah, like I guess that just brings us up to, that was me for like many years of my life, of just like, you know, like lanky athletic, and then I like hit puberty, and I guess I like grew into myself a bit more. I wasn't so much lanky, but I was still just like average size / maybe skinnier than others. And yeah, and then I feel like I went to college, definitely gained a whole lot of weight. But that being said, I had such a positive, I've like actually reflected on this before. I don't even know if we've ever like really discussed this, but like I definitely like gained a whole bunch of weight, but because I had such like positive association with my body my entire life, and like being an athletic person my entire life, I just like literally didn't even think about the fact that like I was gaining all of this weight, and like that I was like actually in a very like unhealthy place, and like the weight was just like representative of how my mental health was doing, how like the food I was eating and the lack of movement my body was
Yeah.
participating in. It was just a culmination of all of it. And so like I just like literally was blind to it and just allowed myself to like be a college person doing, you know, some studying and a whole bunch of other extracurricular activities. And yeah, I don't know. I guess it like kind of came to a point where like my mental health definitely was like, I needed to start having an outlet of some form. And that to me came in the form of boxing. And then with that, I was like, holy crap, this feels incredible, is when I kind of like recognized like, you know, like that I was losing weight. And I was like, oh shit, like I like then like looking at pictures, I was like, I look like a completely different person. And the fact that like in that moment I wasn't even like thinking about how much my body has changed in like maybe a negative way just because of the reflection of what it was happening on the inside, to now it is definitely like a trip to me. It's definitely like a weird disassociation feeling, maybe it was. I'm not really sure. And then yeah, that just kind of brings us up to the current, is just like I've figured out that my mental health is the best when I am physically strong. And like that isn't saying that I want to be skinny or that like I need to lose weight. Like there was never like, it's so hard because I want to say like I've never felt like I had to lose weight, because like that's not true. I feel like there's still like those parts of like society definitely ingrained in me where like even just with this coronavirus and being quarantined and my gym closing and just not having the motivation to like figure out how to do a home gym setup in my apartment that isn't like multi-floors and like, you know, whatever, like very hard to like have a gym in your just like regular space. I'm sure many people can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely like gained weight that, you know, hadn't existed for a while because I was so on top of like my mental health and like working out like consistently to like make sure my brain was doing okay. And then I stopped doing that, and then like my brain like stopped being okay, and then continued to like just not move my body. And like I feel like I then again reflected that in like, you know, my body. And so then there was the part of me that's like I just, it's a combination of like I didn't like the look of it, but also it was just like I could feel that I wasn't strong anymore, and like that literally just like scares me as a person. I don't know, I think it's like something that's like deep inside of me. It's just, and I guess being a female identifying person, it's like scary out here. Like we literally can be attacked at any point. Not to be like a super negative person, but like safety is a priority, and self-safety is a major priority to me. And I like to feel like I am I can protect myself. Like I am an independent person, and I want to be able to protect myself in whatever scenario like should occur. And I think that keeps my mental health feeling great. And if I'm strong, then I'm strong in so many different elements and aspects of life. And so then when I'm no longer strong, I'm feeling weak, and I'm feeling weak in so many different aspects of life. I just feel like it is like an element of my body journey is just like understanding that I feel best and most confident and have the best like perception of this vessel that carries my energy, which is like truly all our bodies are at the end of the day. It's literally just a vessel.
Right. I feel very conflicted though sometimes between, and I'd be curious to hear what you think about this, between like my body is to some degree like it is just a vessel for like me as a person, my soul, whatever you want to call it.
A vessel, but a temple.
But also, it's like the only home I have.
Oh, it is our well, I was about to say it's our first home, but I guess like technically our mom's stomach is the first home, and then our bodies came from that.
But it's the only reality we have. It does, and it's crazy because I do think that everybody's reality, like they see the world differently just based off of like their own body experience.
Absolutely.
Like if you're in pain all day, you're gonna be
your outlook on life is going to be different than a person who can like
that's just one example.
That's
just one example. It might not be pain, it might be, but like just the way that we relate to our bodies is also must have a massive effect. I would be curious to see what like psychologists think of this, but like a massive effect on like who we are, and not only who we are, but like literally how we see reality. Like that's something I think about all the time. This is kind of diverging from what we're talking about, but like it's funny that we all
not, 'cause it's body
experiencing but it's like we're all experiencing the same world, but none of us see it the same.
Nope.
None of us see the exact same world.
Culmination of experiences, who we are genetically, our body
and
compounds,
I think about
just
this
all of it
all the time. Like even, you know, somebody who could be as closely, like my sister and I are only 2 years apart. We grew up in the same house. We grew up in the same, you know, setting. We see the world differently. Like it's so mind blowing how.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's definitely a diverging topic, but
yes and no.
Yeah.
I feel like I really wrapped up. I feel like chatted a long time about my journey.
Okay. I also want to note that I had a thought midway through this. I know that we're talking about body image and whatnot, and this is definitely like a very unique and to every individual experience and topic, and we are definitely like two white skinny women talking about this. These are just kind of like our experiences and what we've found, and I think that I've definitely found value in other people's opinions who live differently than me, or, you know, have a different reality than me. So I hope that.
Yeah. Thank you for saying it. That's very true. And that's definitely something that I've been thinking about with just like this whole conversation as well. Like it is only fair for me to speak to only my experience, which is like what we've primarily been doing. But of course, like just culturally, like, you know, what hair represents in different cultures is drastically different than, you know, my upbringing in New Jersey, you know, in the 1990s.
And I do think though, like, as much as we're all different, like we all kind of struggle with like similar things. Like my story is definitely not unique to so disordered eating was like a big part of my journey, and I experienced it in many forms, and that's definitely not unique to me and my body image. Like, you know, disordered eating happens among like
across all cultures,
all
of course.
Humans. Yeah, not only cultures, but like, you know, you might not be visibly, there's definitely like a stereotype of what, you know, somebody with quote unquote like anorexia or bulimia or whatever your, you know, just restriction in any way. Like there's definitely an image that we have in our minds of like, this is what a quote unquote like anorexic person looks like, but it's different for everyone.
Bullshit.
And I'm going to try to not use those terms as much as I can throughout this, just to like not be triggering. Cause like to me, those terms are like kind of like triggering on the edge. Yeah. And maybe after we record this, we can record like a trigger warning to some degree.
I think that'd be fair
to put in the beginning, but
I mean, even just going back to like not being able to speak to everyone's experiences, like I feel like going along with body image, like I mean the amount of racism that exists like just within like, you know, like natural hair with people of color and the ways that they're discriminated against, and then I mean going even deeper, the skin tones of people, and you know, like
this goes back to, you know, but like obviously also like I can't necessarily speak for anybody who's, you know, I only know my own experience, but this goes back to what we were saying about like the 2000s, like literally being white, blonde, skinny was like the thing.
Yeah.
Which I would be so interested in hearing like the history as to why that became the beauty standard, because if you think back to like World War II, like it was
I mean it's European standards, of course, like we're a country that came from England.
Even within the European like image, like there's definitely more than blonde skinny, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, but for whatever reason,
that came out on top
genetically, that's just more of them,
you think,
were generated, and that's what the norm
but
just
isn't
was.
Blonde
like
a recessive gene? Maybe because it was like a rarity,
but if, like,
or like
two parents are coming
eyes
together, with like they're just multi-breeding. Anyways, where was I going? Oh, I just wanted to say like there's it dives so deep. Even just like skin color, like that's another thing. Like I like naturally like have this skin color that you can see, and like not that I like say that I experience racism, but I can understand that there's like racist roots by the compliment that I'm being given of like people always saying that like they love my skin or like my skin color, and like it always makes me feel weird, and I literally just say thanks, it's just my skin, because it's the craziest phenomena, and it goes along the lines of racism, in that like light-skinned people are praised and darker skinned people within that color spectrum are usually like not told that they're not the standard for beauty. Like they're not like
I do think it's really interesting. Like I've always felt self-conscious of my skin color like my whole life, because I'm like very pale within like so like you have, you know, the beauty standard of like being white was like the beauty, right? And then within being white, it was like you had to be tan to be beautiful. But then it's like
it's so backwards.
It's so backwards.
It's like everyone strives for like this like light skin,
as a kid, I was
green-eyed, like multi ethnic baby color,
and there's nothing wrong with that either, you know, being that person.
No, because
like,
at the end of the day, literally people are just coming together making babies, and the skin is the outcome of whatever the two parents' genetic skin is coming from. And if it happens to be from two different cultures, like what does it matter? Like it's in it. Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, we don't need to talk about the fact that racism is absolutely
that's
insane
also,
and
that's
deeply
not
ingrained.
Necessarily, like, again, we can only speak from our experiences.
Yeah, exactly. And again, to clarify, like, there's no world where I'm trying to say that, like, I could even, like, I'm passing as a person of color. Like, I fully recognize I am a white person, but I just happen to have more olive skin tone to where I can understand where light-skinned people of color get this similar comments of like, oh, your skin is like is so like, you know, golden or whatever. And it's just like perpetuating this notion that light skinned is the standard for beauty and darker skinned or like really pale people aren't. And it's just like, that I don't want to perpetuate that in any way. And like,
also it's like very culturally, because it's like, that's where, especially like in like
this culture,
New York, New Jersey, like was very different than like, you could go to other cultures where like being extremely like fair skinned.
Don't get me started on gym tan laundry right now.
No, exactly. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. You talk. You take the floor now. Let's hear
I'll
about
try to
you.
keep my story short just because I feel like I have kind of spoken about it in the past. But I mean, I guess my story starts as like, you know, I grew up in a family where it was like 2 girls. I was the oldest girl. My sister was like that. And like, I also place no blame on my family too. I want to like preface this with that. But I grew up in a family where like I had a younger sister who was definitely like the skinny blonde, you know, my mom put her in like, she wanted to. So my mom put her in like gymnastics and like cheerleading, and like, she was always like a little bit more athletic. She was definitely like, you know, she fit more of the beauty standards. And then there was me who was like really interested in like making websites and like, I don't even know. I'm
playing Zoo Tycoon.
Oh my God. I played Zoo Tycoon so much. I sat on the computer like all day. I was not athletic. Like summer vacation would come and I spent all summer playing Zoo Tycoon or Roller Coaster Tycoon on my computer. And I'm not even over exaggerating. Like, we had a great backyard too, like the house that I grew up in. And I was so lucky to have that backyard, but I just sat inside on the computer all the time. But granted, like, I'm doing what I do now because of those days of like, I learned how to like, you know, I didn't have Photoshop, but I learned like the equivalent of, you know, for Christmas one year, I like asked for Corel Paint Shop Pro and I started making things. I started making videos. Mom. Yeah. But at the time, like, I just felt incredibly self-conscious because I didn't meet all of these beauty standards of like, I'd be reading all the magazines that I saw and like all the celebrities that I looked up to. Like, I didn't look like them. Like, I either was, I was kind of like and it's crazy that I look back because I was like, I wasn't even chubby, but I felt like the chubby kid. And I remember too, like, my great aunt telling us that my sister was like the creative and the athletic, and, you know, she should go into like media and maybe being an actress and like art. And I was just kind of deemed like the nerdy chubby sister, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember just like growing up a little bit and, you know, going through puberty and like, I think like a little bit of like the chub kind of like the chub, sorry, I don't like that phrase, but
a little of the
you
chub.
know, I just like grew into my body a little bit more, but that feeling of being that person still kind of stuck with me. And then I felt this like immense pressure to like start working out. Once I got to high school, I felt like I needed to like fit Instagram standards as Instagram was like becoming a thing. At first it was actually Facebook, and like the big thing was like taking Facebook pictures with all of your friends. And I just like felt like I never looked good in pictures, but everybody else did. And so I definitely felt down on myself, even though I didn't really talk about it much. I would look at myself in the mirror, you know, the whole like just comparing myself and like overthinking about my body, and definitely like body dysmorphia, I'm so sure, because I look back at pictures and I'm like, I definitely looked like a very healthy human being. There was nothing wrong. But at the time I just felt it to my core. And then I had a best friend who was like starting to get into fitness, and so I was like kind of interested in it too, because like she was doing it, and I ended up just becoming really passionate about it. And I actually like, I look back on that time and I definitely was very passionate about it, and I didn't mean any malintent. And I just started working out, and then I started losing a little bit of weight, and then I started like really, you know, still continuing to constantly look at myself in the mirror, and I just kind of kept going with it. And I definitely like was doing it from a place of like, you know, I was passionate about it. And this is, again, where I come back to what I was saying earlier about like, I feel this weird dilemma in my mind of like, what is like passion and just because I want to do it, and what is because it's like the stereotype and like the standard, you know? And so at the time, it definitely was more leaning towards like, I was doing it because of trying to change my body physically and like trying to look a certain way more than passion. But I was like so passionate about it too at the same time. And so I started taking nutrition courses in college, and I started working out. I started lifting weights because at the time Instagram was kind of just starting, and I got really into like going on bodybuilding.com, and I got really into like buying protein powders, and like I never really counted like macros or calories or any of that stuff, but I did kind of like loosely track, and I ended up being like severely underweight, and ended up, you know, in disordered eating, like with anorexia, because I was like restricting what I was eating because I kept losing weight, and I was like, I have to keep going. And yeah, this is actually like right before I met Tay. And so this was at this point, it's my junior year of college. Yeah. It's 2014, and I'm like taking nutrition courses in the nutrition department of my school. That wasn't my major, but I was like taking courses just for fun. And I knew that I was treating my body not well, and I knew I was like so scared of food. That was the thing. Like I was trying to max out at like 1,000 calories a day, which is like so radical. Again, I never really like in-depth tracked. I just sort of like in my mind tracked, and like tracking to begin with is just not something that I personally believe in at all anymore. But I just remembered that, and I was like, that's severely low. Like that is like not even, your body can't sustain itself on that low. And yeah, I just kind of kept going and going, and I felt like I needed to keep going. And at some point I just felt like, this isn't okay. I'm so scared. I can't do anything. I stopped hanging out with my friends. I was super, super isolated. And granted, like I did just have different interests than them too. So like I look back on that and I'm like, it's sad that I lost those friends. But at the end of the day, like it was an easy thing to cut ties with, because like we just not easy. It wasn't super easy, but like we were just different people.
Yeah. Didn't align.
Or at least at the time we were. And so yeah, like it was definitely like hindering my life though. Like my whole life was centered around like planning food and what I could and couldn't eat, and just like the fear, and like the number of fear foods I had was like insane. And yeah, so then I decided, also my hair was like starting to get really, really flat and brittle, and like I knew something was like wrong. And then I lost my period, which I kind of thought was because I had gotten off the pill at some point in all of this too. And so at the beginning I thought that was why, but then I realized like, no, it's because my body literally doesn't have the energy to. And I had lost my period, I think for like 2.5, almost 3, it was almost 3 years actually, in the whole process of all of this happening. And
so you would say that like a lot of like what was really underlying behind all of this was just like really trying to like fit into this perceived image of what you needed to look like.
I remember at one point, because like Instagram was like just becoming a thing, I used to follow like a lot of like fitnessy people, and people who definitely like just were naturally like had a certain like tall, skinny vibe to them. And I remember feeling like I needed to look like those people, but I just like, I'm not a tall, like we just have totally different body types. I just would follow people on social media, and I was like, I have to look like them. But it wasn't even like, it was such a toxic behavior in that like I would just like look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, okay, one day I'm going to look like them.
Yeah.
When like it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Because genetically you are not made like this person who is completely different than your body type.
Totally. And yeah, so I knew I needed to get healthy, and I was like taking those courses. So like I did have like a general understanding of the way our body worked, and like, you know, science and like biology and nutrition and dietetics and whatnot. But so I just like kept researching, and I kind of like knew I needed to do something good for my body. And so I then went into recovery, and basically the way that looked for me was I was on a plant-based diet, but it wasn't necessarily like in the beginning, it definitely was like for the health, and like I still did think that I could achieve my dream body someday by being vegan. Over time, it definitely changed my view of veganism for sure. But I mean, there were definitely like ethical and environmental reasons in there too. Like it was definitely like a combination, but like the primary focus was definitely like, I was told at the time, like I immediately fell into a fad diet within veganism, which was called high carb, low fat. And there was like this whole like raw till 4 movement going on, and like you can eat as many bananas as you want. And I literally saw it as, you're telling me I can eat as much fruit and as many bananas, which at the time I was like kind of scared of sugar. And they kept saying like, you can eat as much sugar as you want. You can eat as much potatoes as you want. You can eat as much of these certain foods as you want, which made me scared of all the other foods that were outside of those groups.
Right.
It opened up, I think it was a good stepping stone for me, because it opened up like my fear of just like eating lots of food. And so that was like a step, I think, in like recovery. I wasn't going to do it overnight. Like it definitely like gave me a step. And, so right away I just felt free. Like I felt like I could eat as much as I want, which was great. But again, only of certain foods. But over time, as time kind of progressed, I realized that like other food groups weren't,
the science behind it.
Yeah. Other food groups weren't going to kill me. Like they're not going to kill me, but like they weren't going to be the end of the world if I ate them. And like, then it became like, no, this is like normal. I can eat these things all the time. And like, just, I grew into just listening to my body, and also listening to my mind, listening to just like balance, I guess. And, that definitely took like 3 or 4 years. Over time, it just sort of, it went from being like super restriction to you can eat these food groups as much as you want, to me being like, oh, those food groups aren't so bad, to me then being like, okay, raw till 4 was kind of like just following into that fad diet of like trying to be raw till 4, which I never really adhered to at all. And like that was like ruining my mental health and my physical health. And then like also realizing that many other people were affected in the same way by it. And just over time, what is Rue doing? Over time, just finding my balance, and coming to a point where like I really don't overthink food like at all. If anything, like I don't give much consideration. Like I'm more focused on everything else that I'm doing in my day rather than what I'm eating. And I'm definitely more focused on like what I enjoy and what my body feels like. More so what I enjoy though.
Yeah. So how do you feel like your specific body image and your relationship to food, like once you figured out that like you did have this disordered eating thing going on, do you feel like you like directly saw reflections within your body, like the way you progressed throughout your food journey? Because I feel like food and body image are like obviously very closely linked and tied. But like I feel like your journey with food doesn't necessarily have to be your journey with your body, if that makes sense.
Totally. What's interesting is that like for all of the years that I was like really trying to control my food and my body, I never felt like I was at home in my body. And then all of a sudden, once I found balance, like I felt like instantly like I was at home.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I finally, like, when people say like you at some point you grow into your body, like they say that with like kids all the time, or like boys when they go through puberty, they like grow into their body. You know what I mean?
Totally.
They kind of like hit a point. I feel like I didn't hit that until I found balance. Like I all of a sudden like came into my own self. But for years I felt like I was like looking at myself in the mirror and like I just didn't see me, and I didn't even, not just looking in the mirror, like I didn't feel me.
Yeah.
And I can't even explain what I mean by that, because it was never
you don't need to. You didn't feel at home in your body.
Yeah,
and that's
it was
real.
never about the image. It was more so about like some things doesn't feel right.
Yeah. I feel like it's the same concept as second that I took away like physical activity, something that's been like so ingrained in me my entire life. Like the second that was taken away is like the second that I start like having these more like negative connotations to my body, because like yeah, it's just like it is so connected. Like I didn't feel at home because I wasn't doing the thing that like makes my body feel like my home, which is like strengthening it and making it my temple. And
what's interesting is like in the moments that I, you know, quote unquote, didn't feel at home in my body.
no,
I wish you guys could see this. Rue is standing on the other side of the room, pawing at herself in the mirror. It's not gonna open.
No.
It's not gonna open.
Rue, that's you.
Anyways, sorry. But no, yeah, in like the years where I didn't feel in my body, myself in my body, it was the years that I was trying to control, and also the years that my body weight was like fluctuating the most. Just objectively, you know, from the out, like I literally went from being severely underweight to, I don't want to say it was overweight. I don't really know how to describe it.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, I think that's also a great place to just like inject that body weight fluctuation is so normal and like I feel like is not talked about enough at all.
I also will say that even like within my like feeling, maybe that wasn't the great way to explain what I was saying earlier, but like even within feeling myself, like my body weight fluctuates all the time.
Yeah, same.
I'm just saying like it's interesting that like in the extremities, like I had obviously everything in between, but in like the super light and, you know, severely underweight to like whatever I was, like I experienced many weights in between, and like I never felt myself then.
Yeah, because you just like still weren't properly taking care of yourself.
Exactly.
The way that your body needed you to be.
Yeah, like it's like I got super, super skinny and I was like, okay, well, I'm not happy here. And then I was like in between, I was like, I'm not happy here. And then I was like at higher and I was like, I'm not happy here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
no,
at
totally.
no point.
Because all it took was for you to like be like, hey, let me listen to what my body is telling me. It's telling me my gut is unhappy. My
also
XYZ
my not even
is
just
unhappy.
my body, but like what my mind wanted to do, because like I just let other things control. Like food ran my life, whereas like now life runs my life. Like, I want to experience many things. And not only food, but like food and body image ruled my life. And now life rules my life. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Just living the life that makes you happy and not letting details and outside perspectives impact
and I
that.
do think I've done a lot of reflection on the idea of balance, and all I can say is, again, with the, like not feeling at home in your body, it's kind of the similar concept, but balance looks different to everyone. And balance has no definition. Balance has no, this is how to find balance, this is like the XYZ how to. But balance, there's no such thing as balance, but what you know when you're not in balance.
Oh, absolutely.
Is what I'm trying to get at. Like,
totally.
There's no one set definition of balance. The only thing that you can really feel is when you're not in balance. You can identify.
Oh, absolutely.
But balance itself,
and sometimes
isn't
it's honestly
identify.
even hard figuring out what gives you balance. Like I think that that's literally just what life is figuring out A, what balance even looks like for you, and then B, how to achieve it. Like, is it athletics that's going to like make me happy? Is it going to be like skateboarding, or like, you know, like just whatever it is that brings you that confidence? It's really about knowing and learning yourself, which
like for me
is so hard even
like,
at 26 years
here's
old.
a random one, but like what makes me feel balanced is like sleep. Like, is my sleep routine
so real?
And everything, it's not like some people would think like, oh, it's I just eat healthy 80% of the time and I don't eat healthy 20% of the time. I don't know what my ratio is.
No,
like, that's not what makes me feel imbalanced. What makes me feel imbalanced is like personally, like my sleep routine is when I'm getting up and going to bed. If I feel like I have the day to me, which is also something that like I probably should analyze, but like if I wake up really late, I feel really bad. And then I'm out of balance with everything else. And like, if I wake up too early, I also don't feel great. Like, I don't know. It's just something that I feel is really, really important to me. And something that is like,
and you know
constant,
that about yourself.
And this is only something I've recently deduced. It's something that I've like, I don't know. I'm going to open the door because Rue's like pawing at it.
Stop. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like we're about wrapping up anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like you have more that you would like to touch upon on your journey with your body and just
mean,
how you feel?
Mine specifically could be like an entire episode. I wasn't really entirely sure where we were going with this, but like obviously we could talk about this in another episode too.
Yeah.
If you guys have more questions.
Oh, why don't you pull up a couple of the questions?
I should.
We briefly looked at them, and I feel like we might have touched upon them naturally with just the things that we chatted about today.
Yeah.
But these last like few minutes, let's go over answer some questions.
So we did get questions in the previous couple episodes in the comments on YouTube, just for like general like Q&A questions at the end, but I will answer these ones from Instagram specifically in this video, and we can save the other ones.
Okay, yeah.
Is that a good thought? Because I don't want to say like we're not going to get to those other questions.
Yeah, no,
we will.
definitely.
Someone asked about someone in their life has been open about dealing with disordered eating, and how can they be supportive and not triggering. Honestly, I think that tell them that you're there for them. I had friends who just didn't know how to react and kind of like left, and you don't know what's going on in their mind. And so like not necessarily trying to force like your own narrative down their
Definitely
brain, because like again, everyone's relationship to life is so different.
it's their journey that they're going on.
But being supportive with them along the way, because it's going to take a long time. And also I feel like for me personally, like I was definitely open and I was like desperate for help, but the minute people tried to tell me what to do or how to live my life, I was like extremely defensive. Like some things I just needed to come to on my own. I would say like just really be there for them. Like honestly, sometimes it's just a hug.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because again, you can't necessarily like jump into their brain and have them think the way that you do, or like change the way that they're thinking, because it's their journey and it's their life and it's their relation to reality. But letting them know like I'm here for you with whatever.
Totally.
And I will even just like drop what I'm doing, because I know that you're going through something really, really, really difficult, and I'll be there if you like need a hug. I'll come home if you need a hug, you know?
Yeah. That's it. That's if you could be like physically with the person. I was going to say something like similar.
Even if it was like
sorts.
virtual hug,
Yeah.
you know,
just like let the person know, like, first of all, that's a giant step of vulnerability that they even came to you to let you know that they're like going through something so big and so impactful to their life. So just like be generous with that, and just think about a time of like when you've been really vulnerable and how that feels, and just kind of like give off, you know, what anyone would want, and it's just like, you know, a little bit of support, and however that looks for that person, and just kind of be like, first of all, like, thank you for sharing that with me, and then second of all, like, I love you no matter what, and I think it's incredible that you're taking steps to better yourself and figure out, you know, like how to make your self the most optimal that you can be.
Yeah.
And just be like, however that looks for that person, just like give them that support, and just let them know that like nothing has to change, like the friendship doesn't have to change, like literally you're just there for that person. Be like, I am here for you.
Even like asking, like, you know, from time to time, like,
How are you
see
feeling?
that you're struggling with something, like how are you feeling and what do you need, and is there anything that I can do? Because sometimes like they do just want to talk about it with someone, and offering like, you know, is there anything that I can help with? You know, maybe that's you know, even just like getting a book from the library for them, or like I don't know why that's the first example that came to my mind, but like
I think that's great advice. Let's hit another question. Let's do, how many should we do? Should we do like one or two more and then wrap it up?
Squeaky toy. Bad timing, Rue. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, but she's been
just let it go.
Puppy mode all morning. What are some free forms of self-care your girl broke?
My brain could not process how you read that. I was like, free form? What is a free form? What are free forms of self-care your girl broke? Well, your girl broke, so I could feel that. But again, I think we really did kind of touch upon that. It's really just like whatever releases those endorphins for you and gets you feeling good. Like me and Christy have talked about on way past episodes before that we both enjoy dancing our solo dances, get the
Which is
wiggles
really
out,
sad
which feels good.
That's definitely like probably my favorite form of self-care. Like I just close my door at night and like dance with my headphones in by
hell
myself in front of the mirror usually, because I just like will make funny faces at myself.
You gotta see what it looks like.
I should have included that in my journey, because I think that's been like the biggest thing in helping me not only find like self-confidence, but in my balance journey. It like helped me connect with my body. And I can't even describe how or why, but just like being with myself by myself, and like instead of criticizing myself in the mirror, like maybe that's why it's like been such a big thing for me, because it used to be growing up like I was criticizing myself, but now it's like,
you're like, oh girl, hit that move.
Exactly. And like sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and I like remind myself of all the good things that I like about myself, which like comes out through music. Like sometimes songs just make you feel like incredibly confident and sassy, or like the lyrics of a song, or like, you know, like all talking about like I've like one of the examples I can think about is Wafia's new song, oh my gosh, what is it called? Good Things, where she just talks about like I've got good things in my life, or back in the day I used to love song. Like it's such a cheesy song, but was it The Weeknd? Like I feel it coming, I feel it coming.
I have no idea what you're singing,
okay.
but
I'm pretty sure it was The Weeknd, and it was like just a song of like I feel good things coming in my life. Like
totally,
you know, sometimes songs like that come up and you're just like, yeah, and you just dance with yourself in the mirror, listen to feel good songs, and like jive.
Love that.
But I'd say like other free ways, journaling. Massive.
Yeah, you always tell me to do that. I need to be so much better. I think my brain would absolutely love if I journaled, and I say this and then like I just have not journaled, but I definitely need to and want to. But yeah, like even for me, like as simple as like going for a walk at sunset is like a big endorphin release for me personally. And I just like a brisk walk or whatever pace I'm feeling, pop some tunes on, a podcast, walk to my favorite sunset spot, watch the sunset, feel grateful for the day that just passed in front of my eyes. And yeah,
something I've been really, really loving is I don't necessarily meditate anymore, which is like definitely a good thing to do. I just personally have not been in my routine with that. But instead I take like solitude time to myself, which could be like dancing. But so this is going to sound really bougie, but I'll circle back. I promise. Stay with us. Recently, well, in January or February, me and two of my roommates chipped in each $100 and bought a secondhand sauna off of Craigslist. Yeah. It's like literally like 11 or 12 years old, this sauna, and it was in some family's garage, and we went and disassembled it and got it, and it was $300 total. We each chipped in $100.
Incredible.
Probably the best $100 I've ever spent. You don't have to do this in a sauna, but just using this for reference, because you literally you're trapped in a box, like it's literally closed, and I'm forced to sit there with myself in silence, and I purposefully don't bring my phone with me or anything with me, and I just sit in there. And this could be your room, but the sauna has been great because literally, well, first of all, it's hot and you start to like panic a little bit, so it brings you like really present, which probably not great advice to like sit there and panic, but my phone's not in there. Like I can't get out. I can't get to my phone because it's physically not in the room. Yeah. So like it could just be sitting in your room, and just trying to be as present with yourself. And like you might start to panic if you don't have any technology with you, because it's like, oh, what do I do?
No, do not put that in people's brains. You're absolutely okay if you're separated from your technology.
No, but that's what I mean by like sometimes you just get bored, and so like that's kind of like a panic state of like, what do I do? I'm in this room, and I would say like spend 20 or 30 minutes just like by yourself with no technology, closed in a room. It sounds really depressing, but does wonders for like making you present. And it's not necessarily meditation, because I'm not like sitting there and like purposefully meditating, but it's kind of a similar effect. And like maybe bring a journal if you want to, but I just sort of like think, and I just feel really present, and I feel like I get a lot of like present. I think through like problems that I would have otherwise avoided, and to me that's self-care.
On a similar vein, I don't bring my phone into my bedroom anymore. Like literally at all. It doesn't enter my bedroom. Unless like I'm like folding clothes and I have a podcast on or something. But at night and in the morning, I just leave my phone in the living room, and well, my partner would use his phone for an alarm system. So
Right.
that's really the only tricky part of it.
Yeah.
But I think that I just need to search Facebook Marketplace to find like
An alarm clock.
Yeah, a clock that
Yeah.
has an alarm ability. But also like I wake up every day at like 6 o'clock, I feel like, and then I like assess myself if like I want to either like get up, go back to sleep, set an alarm, go to the bathroom, XYZ, like, you know, so like I feel like there's always the availability to like still go to sleep without technology next to my face and still wake up without technology next to my face, and then like make my decisions from there of like how I want to.
Something that I really need to
my
start
day.
doing is I used to not use my phone until after I was done with like my morning routine part of the day, which is tricky because part of my morning routine is like physical movement, and I typically like my music while I do that. But I wouldn't check like email or social media until later on in the day. But I've been bad at that lately.
Yeah, it really feels so good to not just like have media shoved down your face the second you open your eyes.
And I have been consuming it, but I also feel like, and this is, we could probably do an episode on like balance with social media, because I don't feel the way I used to about it, because like I'll just like kind of scroll it, like not necessarily like super mindlessly, but like, you know, just like check what's up for 5-10 minutes, and then like I'm done. Like I don't find it super difficult to like stop scrolling. It's kind of gone back to like the way I originally used to use social media. But anyways, that's a topic for another day. I think self-care is really just my stomach just growled. Did you hear that?
No, but
really
whoever, someone is cooking downstairs and it smells phenomenal. And it's definitely made me pretty hungry as well.
But yeah, I think self-care is really just about doing something for you, not doing something for somebody else. So like it can come in so many forms. It could come in walking. It could come in like, I just want to sit here and watch a YouTube video, my favorite YouTube video for a minute, or
YouTube videos,
or that,
paint a canvas, or DJ music, or whatever. Like find a hobby, make it your
food, hang out with like somebody that you love. Those are all forms of self-care. It's not like, you know, I have to go to work because like
I have to put a mask on my face. I have to paint my nails in order to have self-care. I have to buy a cake, or, you know, it's
whatever you want. If you want to buy a cake, then that's self-care. If you have to, then that's not.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I hope that kind of answered that question.
Yeah,
we've been talking for quite a while.
So I think we should wrap this up.
Time to wrap up.
Definitely. But I think this was a great talk. I had a good time talking about this, and hopefully you guys all find it somewhat relatable, or hopefully, you know, can take tidbits from what we said.
Definitely very personal, and again, like your experiences might be super, super different from us. I'd hope that in some way that this was valuable for you. Hopefully was not triggering in any way. And because that's just something that I'm definitely very cognizant of, because it's like a topic that's, I definitely don't consume like any content that's related to, like, I don't watch what I eat in a day videos. I don't really listen to like body image, how I'm feeling in my body, because I just, it's cool, that's your body. I don't really, you know, but that's because it's like a triggering thing for me, because
we just want to be here to say to love your body no matter what your body is, because we've all have been given drastically different bodies also in this world in relation to
incredibly beautiful bodies.
Hair, skin, weight,
how our bodies do these things, how you even have like eyes that, you know, blink, and hair that grows out of your head, and
we are the most complex organism, to the fact that we haven't even found other forms of like significant life elsewhere, because of how complex our makeup is.
We still don't even understand our makeup. Like we still don't understand the complexities of the brain and like how things even work.
We get sick, our bodies fight it off. Sometimes it can't. Like we're trying to figure out how to create solutions. Like it's insane. And for us to like look in a mirror and be like, I hate what I see, is just not worth it. This life is not that long, and it feels really good to love the body that you're in. And as hard as it sometimes seems like it can be, it really is as easy as just not caring of what other people think. And even if like,
and then asking
it takes
yourself
a while,
why you care.
Like, why do you care? And once that's figured out, what everyone else is saying is just so unimportant.
Yeah. Who cares what they think? And then just like keep asking yourself why in what you think.
Know yourself.
Know yourself. And sometimes it might be as simple as, well, like, why am I shaving my legs? Because society is telling me, or not society, but like, I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
Like, okay, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, talk to you later. See you next week.
Talk to you later. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.